Hey guys, welcome to another Consport video. This one's on ordering negative number expressions. Let's go. All right, it says use the drop down to complete the following inequality. Now, I'm not going to use the Cami writing unless I need it. So let's just talk about these ideas, okay? So it says use the drop down to complete the following inequality. So is A a positive or negative value? A is a negative value. Is B a positive or negative value? B is a positive value. What is A take away negative B really worth? Well, A take away negative B is really worth A plus positive B because subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. So ultimately, this is some value A plus some value B compared to just the value of A by itself. Now, A is a negative number. If you were to add this B value to it, would it get bigger or smaller? Well, is B a positive or a negative? B is a positive. So if you start with a negative number and you add a positive number, is the result bigger or smaller than the original negative number? Well, it's obviously going to get bigger because you're adding a positive to it, right? So that means that A take away negative B in this case is going to be worth more than just A on its own. So this would be greater than. In other words, this left expression is worth more than this right expression. Is A positive or negative? A is negative. Is B positive or negative? B is positive. Okay, I don't really care what their values are. All I care is that they're positive or negatives. I can see that A is a negative. I can see that B is a positive. Fair enough. So it says, which expression will end up being negative? Well, if I'm looking at this and I say A plus B, I'm adding A and B. I can see that A is further from 0 than B. And since it's a negative plus a positive, it's going to be a tug of war. And we're going to try to figure out who's going to win, the negative or the positive. Well, if I'm looking at this, I can see that A is pulling further from 0 than B. So this is going to end up being a negative answer because whatever A is, it's going further from 0 than B is. So it's going to win the tug of war. So the answer here for A plus B would be negative. So this is a negative expression. So that works. This one is negative A minus negative B. Now, when you take away negative B, that's the same as plus positive B. So this effectively is saying negative A plus positive B. Fair enough. B is positive. So when you're adding a positive B and B is positive, it's just like plus a positive. The opposite of A would be a positive as well. Where would the opposite of A be? Over here, right? So if you were to read this as an answer, it's really going to say that, okay, we're going to make A the opposite of itself, and then we're going to add this positive B element. So we're going to go that much further to the right. It's going to end up being very positive. It's definitely not going to be negative. So the only correct answer is A plus B, because the negative would win that tug of war. And this one says order the following expressions by their values from least to greatest. Okay, so this is L, K, and J. It says negative K plus J. Well, here is K. If I were to do negative K, that's the opposite of K. It would be about there. Okay, and then you're adding J to that. Okay, if you add J to that, J is pretty big, right? J is like 1 2/3 or something like that, right? So if you added J to that, it would jump up like 1 2/3. It's kind of near this midline right here. So this expression is kind of where a little bit less than this halfway part, probably, if you were to visualize it. The negative J is the opposite of J. So this would be all the way down here. That's pretty negative. And then 0. So obviously this, wherever it ends up exactly, is going to be somewhere around this area. And this one's going to be at the bottom when we do negative J, so go to the bottom. And the 0 is in the middle. So the least to greatest, you'd be looking at negative J being the smallest, 0 being the middle value, and then negative K plus J kind of working out somewhere in that area right near the halfway mark. So that's the answer. It says match each expression with the correct description. Okay, so it says here the least value is x plus y, the greatest value is x minus y, and the closest to 0 is negative x. Let's find out. So x plus y, both x and y are positives. If you add them together, they're going to get more positive, which means they're going to get bigger. that doesn't seem like the least value. That seems like x plus y together would be the highest you could possibly get. So that's going to be the greatest value. X minus y would be this value, take away this value. Well, if I had x and I took away that much y, wouldn't it drop down about to there? So you're looking at a value between 1 and 2, or between whatever this first interval and the second one is. 1, 2, 3, 4, you count by twos. So it's going to be somewhere between 2 and 4. All right? So that x minus y is somewhere between 2 and 4. Where would negative x be? Well, negative x would be the opposite of x. So that's 2, 4, a little bit more than 4. And then you're going to do the opposite of that. So it's actually going to be on the negative side. So that's going to be a pure negative value, right? So that's the smallest one because it's pure negative. Then you're going to get the difference between the two, which is going to be somewhere in the middle, right? Because x take away y is going to drop down to about there. And then you've got the, and then so that's going to be kind of the closest to 0, I guess you want to call it, the middle value. And then the greatest value is going to be the x plus y, because together these are going to get bigger up to there. So x plus y is somewhere up here, and then you've got the opposite of x, which is going to be down here, and then you've got the one that's closest to 0, which is x minus y. Because when you take the x and subtract the y, it gets brought closer to 0, and it's closest of the values to 0. That's how you do it. All right, hopefully that helped you guys.